Okay, welcome everybody. Let's get started. My name is David Howard. I'll be your host. And let's see, I've got my list of questions for our panelists here today. Jamie Chapin with Spider Marketing Group, long history with agencies and media companies in digital leadership, digital sales leadership. Got a few questions for Jamie. And Jamie, why don't we just lead off? Just introduce yourself and give folks a little bit more background about yourself.
Well, that's a pretty good intro. So I'm a digital junkie, a sales junkie for sure. Typically working with traditional media companies to train and kind of level up their digital marketing, experience, if you will. I've been working in business to sales since I was 20. So you don't meet with one type of business. You can meet a florist and a roofer and an attorney or an auto dealer inside of one different day. So it helps you stay sharp about what a business thinks that they want to do online, what kind of resources and tools that they now take their education and knowledge from. And then that just helped me kind of guide my salespeople if they were comfortable speaking to all sorts of levels of different business in different industries, and kind of speak to problem solving, making a business aware, and working with multiple stakeholders too, right? So you don't just work with the owner these days. You've got marketing directors or social media influencers, and you might have 6 people that you have to work with for their particular job inside of any company. So that's kind of my jam, is just understanding the people and the metrics and the goals, making sure my salespeople are aware of what they're going to offer and how to speak to it. And there's really a tool that I keep coming back to year after year, no matter what company I'm working with. It's like day one. I call Marilyn and we get it going.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. So you referred to Marilyn. Marilyn Sartori is our head of customer success, and I think the tool you're referring to is BuzzBoard. So tell us, tell us a little
I
bit.
was making you guess. I just want
But
So tell us a little bit more about what keeps you coming back. And I mean, we know everybody's got alternatives, but you keep coming back and choosing BuzzBoard over the alternatives.
Mhm. It presents for me. Okay, so industry data points. So instead of having to use like 10 different tools to figure out how a business is optimized, how much they're estimated to be spending against their competition, if their website's mobile friendly, what their social media presence is, if they have name, address, phone number errors. I mean, if they understand what their strengths, it composes everything into one platform. So it allows me to prospect, stay in touch with what's going on in an industry that, and how to speak to that. And then kind of gives us a benchmark. So pulling profiles and saving them allows me to manage to like fixing different concerns and then coming back to that same business maybe 3 months later and benchmarking all the changes that have been done. So I can find a client, I can speak to a client, I can see what their competition is doing. I can find errors that can be corrected. I can benchmark where we're at. And what I like also about BuzzBoard is I know that their concierge service or their customer service is exceptional. And that's clearly been demonstrated because every time I might take a little sabbatical away from BuzzBoard, once I do come back, there's already 3 different changes so they listen and they adapt. And that's what keeps me coming back to this particular company. It's not just a company, but it's the same team every single time. So you start to get to know people, but that kind of team has to really listen to make the kind of changes that you see regularly in this tool.
so Jamie, it's Philip with BuzzBoard, one of the team members. And so walk me through, let's just kind of break that down, what you said. When you talked about prospecting and when you talked about building your targeted list, do you mind if we just kind of go over what a typical search would look like for you in BuzzBoard?
Sure.
Yeah, so just I'll drive, you walk me through it.
Okay. Let's say a seller. Because as a digital director, I often have team members or salespeople that are prospecting. well, they could be comfortable with one type of business, or they could have an appointment with, say, a plumber very soon. So I can either start searching for the particular plumber that the seller might have an appointment with and pulling a profile. And I can also pull a list of other plumbers. So once the seller starts to get acclimated with the terms and phrases and what a good strategy might look like for a plumber, now I want to take and build a lookalike audience with my prospects so that my seller can approach more than one plumber at a time. Now, if my plumber is found and they have a digital footprint, maybe I want to find other plumbers that don't have a website, or I want to find, there's so many ways to filter this, Phil. I feel like that's entrapment.
No, not at all. I mean, you're totally right. So let's just say it was not just plumbers, but all kinds of contractors. And so what I've done here is I've given us the Detroit, Michigan market within a 50 square mile radius of that market, right? So we're really expanding this reach. We've got a specific category. You said plumbers were, for the sake of this example, we've got contractors, and we've identified 10,365 of them. So from there, you mentioned, okay, these are the ones with websites, but what if you wanted to do, find the ones that didn't have a website? Well, I could toggle to the left and identify the 6,200 or so that don't have a website in BuzzBoard's database. So
Well,
what
selfishly,
direction do
being
you
a
normally?
digital seller, we want all the websites and
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You can build more, bigger proposals that way for sure, or introduce more solutions that you sell. And then what else? What else do you look for here?
under advertising, particularly, if they've got a Facebook, their Instagram, different contractors, some of them love Home Advisor and Angie's List. Google Ads can be dressed up in a whole different way, but say if Home Advisor is a good one in this circumstance. Yes to Google Ads. I don't care how much they spend. It can be arguable with other sales leaders that they want to, or even a sales rep, like, oh, I need to get this nugget. I need to find somebody who's spending like 1,500 to $4,000 a month to be able to hit my sales quota. So maybe it doesn't make sense to go to the, Tom, Dick, and Harry's of the contractor world. Now they need to go Plumbing Inc. With a fleet, X amount of dollars, X amount of employees. And then we got to find who we have to talk to. So one of my other favorites is, can you tell me, I don't remember if it's in the prospect list.
We have contacts.
Well, firmographics, I think I always get this one. There you go. Context, definitely. I could be wrong about this, but I thought the firmographics, which is the one that tells me number of employees and number of revenue.
You're totally right.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So size of business, annual revenue that's reported by the business, number of employees, of course, ad spend.
I'll tell you another way that I like to flip this is even a local company thinks of a bigger company and they want to be more like them. So being able to, even though I'm pulling a prospect list right now, when I do have, well, that can go twofold, but sometimes they want to grow and they really want to understand how another company was built to that level.
That's right. I like picking the range sometimes. So we can say, how many of them are single business, just single businesses. And there's 78 of them in this geography that are spending $5,000 to $10,000, or excuse me, $5,000 to $100,000 a month, according to SpyFu.
So we went from 6,800 with just websites, and now my prospect list is refined, and it's based on what my seller thinks that they want to go and speak to. So nothing better than getting in the mindset of your own seller to say, oh, if this is what you feel like you need in order to get to your own sales quota, let me bring that for you. And then we're going to manage to it later. So even at 78, we've refined it down to a few more, and it's a list of 20. That's a manageable type of list.
That's right.
And heaven help them if they don't call on them.
Absolutely.
So Jamie, you spoke a little bit about engagement, right? Because once you do your prospecting, you find your folks to call on. Can you speak a little bit about using BuzzBoard for engagement and outreach?
Ooh, yeah, some people, it's not my preferred method, but some people look for pain points
Hmm.
that can be designed. Some people look for, okay, so when you talk about engagements and you're kind of thumbing through this, I think we're talking about who do we go and speak to? Because there is a bunch that my favorite thing about BuzzBoard is it's pulling in different data points
Yeah,
all across the web from, I don't know, hundreds of open APIs. It's insane. And then it's putting it all right there once the profile loads. I also love that you can build it in as an extension in Chrome. So it's an extension and one click away. I can be on the actual website instead of going into this profile, which can be intimidating sometimes, but if you want to just go to the website and then click, exactly, that's perfect.
there you go.
And then now I've got a summary of what I might want to speak to. This is perfect when they're like, hey, James, can you go on this call with me? It's in like 20 minutes. I'm like, shoot. Yep, no problem.
Yeah,
But
so this helps you prep really quickly for those calls, right? Get you up to
it does.
speed. Yeah.
And then I think in that summary, we're looking at the SWOT analysis too. So without having to dig into what this pest company does, it's kind of giving me a little bit of insight, enough to speak to. So tell me what the hot topic is in your industry these days. And it's looking at their their strength or the weaknesses. And you can swap this out too, which is one of the new enhancements that I like. Perhaps the way that the SWOT comes back is not, maybe it's putting more pain points instead of more like ways to outsmart their competition. And so I just go to that more options, and then it kind of says, are they concerned about gain? Are they concerned about loss? Are they, and you can pull and ask SWOT to tell you a different strength or weakness. So if customers like, yeah, tell me how you're going to how are you going to get me more customers? Then I would change the AI to speak to their current digital footprint. And now it kind of tells it the way that the advertiser is most inclined to like listen to them.
And while we wait for that to load, just to let everybody know, this is AI driven content. We call it personalized content for a reason. This SWOT analysis that Jamie was talking about and what we're displaying here is really derived from this business and this business only. It's not a category type of SWOT analysis. For those of you that don't know, what BuzzBoard aims to do here is we want to score the small businesses. And so we definitely reach out to multiple data sources via API so that we can come in and score these businesses. And so with that score, with all the data or the information that we bring to the table, then what we're doing is we're telling the LLM to come in with the content or the engagement piece. And it's giving us this information, just much like a chat GPT prompt, but we want to consider this switch to be like huge, right? Because it's doing all your sub prompting, hundreds of sub prompts for you. And we've made it to where it's a closed environment. We've synthesized a lot of the information that reps want to know beforehand so that they can engage in a better way. And all I did was I said, tell me more about your customers. I clicked on it. And then, of course, the output right here, we still have the SWOT analysis, but we've added a page 2 here. And it says, yeah, absolutely. Let's dive into the analysis. And it's giving me different, I mean, this is the most, David, that I've seen. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
5,
for sure.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it gave me 10 bullet points. So Jamie, you really, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, you could copy paste, you could come in here and download it if you wanted to.
Yeah, if
Just
I was in
go in
college, I'd be
context.
flagged for copyright for sure.
So Jamie, you spoke to one thing, and maybe you can just expand on it a little bit. Something that I think is one of the real beauties of the AI interface for BuzzBoard. You've got 4 buttons there. You can generate a prompt in the back end. You just point and click. I think most people in in your role, leadership roles, and the folks reporting up to you, do they have time to get really sophisticated with ChatGPT prompts and learn how to how to be prompt engineers, or are they under the gun to like retire quota?
Okay. I don't know. It's a mix. Sometimes these kids come to me and they're teaching me about ChatGPT, and I was like, "You think that's cool? Let me show you this." Like, I don't have time to learn all your prompts right now. Like, but I need to be able to speak. That. So I
Yeah.
appreciate when they kind of come to me with that AI, and it's kind of like the stump the boss kind of mentality, and then the boss gets to say, "I love that. Does this make sense to you also?" Blink, blink, blink.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
let's hope that we're just like being harmonious with our approach. But if they can see that it does kind of a lot that's going to help their salesmanship and be a little bit more, this is to me more professional than, it's probably just because I suck at doing chat GBT, but like this is more professional to me than what sometimes AI comes at.
Yeah. Well, there's always going to be the power user, right? There's always going to be the power user who wants to write their own prompts. But I think for the vast majority, your primary reason, Detra, your goal each day is not to perfect ChatGPT prompts, but to make sales calls, to get meetings, close
Exactly.
deals, right? Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of the great things about this, what's on the screen right now.
I thought it kind of got better. So one of the features I learned at the bottom was it kind of, not all companies sell all products. Sometimes they just specialize. And if you scroll down a little bit more, I loved this whole where you can modify the product. Now, this was so impressive to me. I was like, what? I can't believe you guys did this. So you can pick the product, if you will. Like if you want to propose, so say you see a problem. In this case, this is a very savvy advertiser who has many components, but that shouldn't necessarily negate my salesperson from making a presentation. So whatever they think that they may want to speak to, and you're selecting a lot, I love how it builds into this kind of, yeah, I think that, and then how did I get it to generate, yeah, okay. Push the button.
Yeah, so something that's important for folks to understand is when you do that selecting of products, that's all input to the LLM. So our our interface to the LLM pulls in data on small businesses from our 30 million strong small business database, the thousands of signals we have on each one of those. Um, it goes out and it reads the web page, the web presence for those small businesses, and it takes into account, oh, I just want to focus on these products and services. I'm going to generate output now that narrows in and focuses on that and excludes what you haven't selected.
What's
So
an
now you
LLN?
Oh, the large language model. That's the AI machine, the underlying AI technology. Um,
Told you
that's
I
the
didn't
core
spell
of
an
all these.
AI.
Well, you shouldn't have to. I mean, I think this is something we really strive for at BuzzBoard. As I said, there's always going to be power users who want to write sophisticated prompts and they want to show that off to their boss. But folks selling digital marketing services, they shouldn't have to know all the complex mechanics of what an LLM is and what a transformer is and all that. It really should be a point and click interface, just like what we've provided here. I think that lends to speed and efficiency and satisfaction with using the product.
And here's my new favorite page.
There you go.
Tell us
And it's
why.
editable. Like this is my very favorite. And you can drag and drop, but if you want to put like a package, you can type it right on the recommend page there. If that's not efficient, I don't know what is. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
Yeah, I appreciate this. I wish I would have had something like this in my old life before I joined BuzzBoard about 10 years ago. I mean, of course, 10 years ago, we weren't talking about artificial intelligence. I think it was a movie or something like that. But yeah, you're totally right. I mean, we can absolutely come in here and speaking of LLM, learning language model, any product that you add into BuzzBoard, it's personalized to you and your company. So if it's PDC widgets or Scott's social power plus, something like that, that's what it'll say. If it doesn't, you can change it. We can edit that as we can see here. But we want to be able to make sure that we're personalizing it also to you and the company you work for, and that you can come in and have a lot a lot of confidence that we're going to be on the same page as you are and in alignment with the products that you have. Um, I love the fact that we can download this too. So, Jamie, let me ask you, it's your new favorite one. You like to edit it. You like the drag and drop features of changing the order and everything. Have you presented this to a prospect before or to a client?
I've only just been aware of it. So the answer is yes. If we get to that point, I'm kind of like a speak to it. And if they need follow-up, then they kind of have this, but I've got 28 years in the industry. So, uh, but I didn't see that you could download this part. I mean, do you type it in first and then you download after you kind of put your recommendation packages? I haven't seen what it looks like.
Yeah, and of course, it's something that's branded. Obviously, all digital assets that we have inside of BuzzBoard can be branded to you. And this is just my demo account. But yeah, I mean, we've got the ability to come in, and of course, it'll have your information as well. But we have the ability to come in and give somebody just on the fly something to think about, part of a presentation package. We're currently in the process of making this into a PowerPoint as well, not just a PDF, so that it can go into a larger slide deck, if you will. And yeah, I think when it comes to just that quick reporting that we can brand for you on the fly, I think that having this in here is just it's just a no-brainer for me, to use it. But speaking of digital assets, were you aware of the business overview report?
Mhm.
So walk me through that report as I show it to everybody else. And here's an example of how you can go ahead and click more. And with the PowerPoint presentation, we can put the comprehensive report in, but these reports will soon be PowerPoints as well, especially that BOR or this business overview report.
That
So
one's new for me too. I didn't recall that one. Sometimes if I don't scroll far enough, but this is why I also have my sales training coming up, right? So
yeah,
Steven is my sales guy and I wish he could manage my personal life because he manages his book of business like insanely well. Like, hey, I gotta get back to you, Steven. Like, thank you for, yeah, but yeah, you can't keep up with all of it.
Yeah, this is one of our newest features that's been rolled out pretty recently. So yeah, make sure you get on with him and go through it because people love this BOR report.
Yes, sir.
right. And so as we were saying, soon to be a PowerPoint presentation, and the customer analysis piece is something that we've received just tons of great feedback on the ability to come in and segment customers for a prospect and give them different value propositions for each customer segment. For me, that's incredible. Again, another asset that I wish we had when I was out in the field doing this job like you, Jamie.
Oh, so you wanted me to walk you through how you would. So what I like is it's all just like closed up until you want to look at it. So if it didn't recognize display ads, but it did find Google ad spend, or it did locate these Facebook ads. So again, I don't know what crew people that are on the call, but at a glance, instead of having to check all of these other like a lead aggregate or where their digital presence can be found, it's sitting right here. So, oh, there's 93 reviews. Okay, that's amazeballs. So I can find inaccuracies on the name, address, phone number, or it's hard to explain, but I bet everybody on this call does appreciate whomever your audience is. They either are worried about their pain points or they want to get more. Fear of loss, hope of gain, that's kind of where most people live. But sometimes pointing out some of these errors, they can be like, oh, what the heck, where is it? That's here. By doing business with me, I can send this report to you if this is something that's, of a high interest. Like they're getting, Janice, get in here right now. Did you know that on Yelp, it's like, don't worry, Janice, I can just have the report sent over and then we can look at this later. Let's not unpack this now because there's a bigger marketing picture that we have to get to. But this is the only tool that can cleanly pull it in and leave it, trackable. And again, once we pull it, this guy happens to be an 80, but when you pull it and it gives refreshed information, say in another 90 days, and they paid you to boost their Instagram account, and you can go, this report, it's kind of like hey, we did this. And let's keep moving forward with other things that we proposed. Before we were proposing this, now we might have changed your recommendation tab to something else.
Yeah, that's got to be huge for client retention, right? When you can pull successful reports and show the numbers changing, improving,
For me, it
tie it
is.
back to your work. Yeah, for sure, right?
It also is
There
really
you go.
helpful if we have a change in staff too. So if that seller is no
Mhm.
longer with us, but that profile is in there, and I need to hand it off to another rep, the SWOT analysis in there. So that should give us an indication, even if I wasn't on the call, should give us a little idea of what should have been spoken to the customer. And that's a nice way to transition from one rep to another. How have you been able to correct the 67% of name, address, and phone number? Save one profile, double check it again, compliment them if they've made progress, ask if Phyllis is fired, and maybe someone new needs to look at it.
Yeah, that's
So
great. I mean, that's big picture business continuity with your clients, right? Even as people turn over for whatever reason, right? And it's all tracked there in the profile and BuzzBoard.
and it looks like you really do use this platform in a really holistic way. I mean, you aren't just having one type of conversation, but you realize that there are multiple conversations that you can have across that digital marketing spectrum, and you absolutely understand that you can regenerate, track, show progression, or a loss if they're still not working with you, right? You could regenerate and go back to them later and say, hey, you were an 80 in the spring or in the fall, and now in the early spring you're actually dropping to a 75, and I want to talk to you how that's happening. So as you use BuzzBoard, what where do you hang out the most when it comes to the platform itself? Like, it's the go-to piece inside of the platform, whether it's a feature, a digital asset, a specific section. What's your favorite place to be?
I'm a seller, Phil, so it's competition. It's all
Mhm.
about they have somebody they want, so they're pining after to be, and there's always somebody that's chomping on their heels. So if I can understand and appreciate the different profiles for the competition, and or I can show them how they rank about, the folks that they're most interested in, that's where clients tend to engage more.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it does create that sense of urgency. And I appreciate the fact that it sets me up as a consultant, not a seller per se, or an advisor. I can be more of an advisor or a consultant when I get the opportunity to bring immediate value to the table and ask the American pests of the world, or whoever we're talking to, who could be a 60 for all we know. Who do you want me to bring information about? We can find out what that competitor of yours in the market might be doing to increase their business, or what are they doing to dip into your market share or take revenue from you. So, uh, yeah, it's a strong feature to add immediate value to what we're trying to do. And generally, what we're trying to do here as sales professionals or consultants is to add immediate value to that prospect so that they can start trusting us a lot faster. We want to give, 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 and of course, sell, sell, and close, close.
Yeah, and there's two more spots for competitors in there too. So you can keep adding up to like 4 of them, but it keeps everybody honest. Dude, you don't want to do search engine marketing. You tried it before, you said it didn't work. Okay. But your competition is doing it. So is it really a space that we don't want to play? And if you love your social and they love their search, let's see how it's, let's see how it's, maybe fine, we do more of it just allows a non-argumentative conversation and console, if you will, to that. And I think there was, yeah, you just did it. Like I can just quickly do another, and then all I have to do is click on the 2 other profiles that I want to add for the competition. I
Right.
always make sure my sellers go in there first, because if it pulls enterprise, like if it's an art place, but that pulls in Michael's, it's not going to be like the, the nitty gritty.
Right. And so while we're here, let me just update everybody. I mean, we did add some new features here within adding a competitor. By default, what we're going to see now is a search engine keyword. So this is like me coming in and going to Google and typing in pest control services in this geography here. So I can still change the geography I wanted to, but now I'm doing a search engine keyword search. But what we've done is we've done our best to take out the Angie's List, to take out those directory listings, the next doors, home advisors, and better business bureaus. I mean, we've done our best to take those out and just filter them out so that we can just give you businesses here. And so that's what we call a keyword search. And of course, there's different ways of adding your competitor. You can still add in through business name, URL, category, keyword. But by default, we're giving you that search engine keyword, which is good because we want to do the best that we can to mirror what Google's doing so that we can clearly see what's going on organically. This one could be way down here. So yeah, I'm going to add them in by clicking right there and then just adding in competitors. And then of course, BuzzBoard will then bring that to the line. And to your point, yeah, we give you room for 4 total. And it's a strong feature because when your prospect gives you their top 3, so always ask for top 3, everybody. They're also giving you 3 more qualified leads.
Well,
There you go.
we were looking at prospects and we figured out the contractors and we've refined it and only had 78. It's a little easier to see who's like the dominant.
Yeah. Absolutely. And all we want to do is just hover over and then convert to profile just like that. We've added another business into the platform. 1 click, go figure. And guess what? It was your prospect that prospected for you.
That's right. That's what I was saying. You give your seller 4 different, you've gone through the dialogue, you've shown them the differences, like with social media, or maybe they have display, maybe they have search, but it gives them a synopsis. But now you have, and even if that prospect tells you no, get your ass back in the field. You got 3 more right there, all in the same market. You're already, you're prepped and you're ready to go.
So David,
Hey,
looks
Philip.
like some chat questions here.
Yeah, I want to go to questions and just time check. We're at the bottom of the hour. Make sure that we answer some questions from the audience if they would like. So Jamie's been active on chat. So that just in the recording, because the chat won't be in the video, Paul had asked about the size of companies that Jamie's using this for, B2B, B2C, and Jamie says mostly B2C clients. Tool works with enterprise level companies also. And then I'll let you answer this, and then I'll speak a little bit to it as well. From the BuzzBoard side. Paul has another question. If you're looking at the size of an ideal company, how many employees would you say is ideal for BuzzBoard?
Small, medium business, it can be a solo, it can be a husband and wife crew. And as long as if they do have a website, if they do have a listing like a Google business page, it can all be pulled in. So for me, the size of the company has never actually been something that I worry about. It's more just kind of like I said, it's about the client. But if let's say we are having a blitz for websites, and it doesn't matter to me if it is an independent contractor or if they have 5 to 10, I find that more digital money is spent. Actually, nothing surprises me anymore. I can go out to a tree service who is it just him and a 2-man crew. It's like him and his brother or something. They all have needs for growth. They all have questions about how to market themselves online. Again, all of which you can speak to their industry or to their competition in here. You can leave them behind with things that now they can, I just learned that today. Like, I think they call it the BMR report. That's all value. sometimes they're embarrassed because they don't know what to ask for when it comes to digital marketing or advertising in general. And that little bit of a leave behind lets them read up so that the next person that they speak to, or I mean, they can use it whatever way that they want. But so it's hard to say. I think people will spend money if they have a need for it. What do you do, Phil, or not Phil, Paul? I don't know
Yeah.
are you an enterprise seller? Are you a sales manager?
Oh, I had an agency that's primarily or has been primarily B2B, and what we would consider an SMB client is probably around about 250 plus employees. But we want him, as part of our new business efforts, we want to talk to more diverse and smaller clients than we have in the past. So
You should ask Phil to pull you a list right now, and then you can see. We can
There you
go
go.
to, like the 250, we can go to your market and see if we can refine it so you can see, if
well, I understood
Yeah.
earlier on that primarily this is smaller markets, small target market as a
your company is, or you think the tool is?
no for BuzzBoard that's I understood earlier on that it was designed more for targeting smaller businesses, not so much enterprises. But it raises a question as in what happens when it's part of a franchise?
Well, let me speak to that. I think Philip can maybe show some franchises too. So for BuzzBoard, from corporate viewpoint, we define SMB. It's around number of employees. There's lots of definitions in the world about enterprise and all around revenue, but we're generally following the United States government Small Business Administration definition of 0 employees, where that's just like a solopreneur, owner, manager, everybody with no employees. So kind of the 0 employees up to 1,000. As you get up to 1,000, then it starts to get gray. Are they enterprise? If it's over 1,000, are they clearly enterprise? But for the SMB definition is basically 0 to 1,000 employees. And then you get it closer to 1,000, it starts to get gray, and then you can start to mix in, well, they're 600 employees, but they've got enormous revenue. Does that make them enterprise? You can see the filters. We have it goes back to the employee count filters. The highest filter is 1,000 employees and up, and you will find businesses there. But our core data collection and what we call our central database, which is where everything coalesces, and then as the basis for this product, is focused on that 0 to 1,000 employee segment. That as small business.
Yeah, so obviously, Mr. Electric is an enterprise type of, and then are also franchisees. Also understand, and Paul, I'm sure you know this, that your franchisees, they have to spend marketing dollars. I mean, that to be a franchisee, that you're actually obligated to have a marketing budget. And so a lot of people who use BuzzBoard, they're not afraid of the Mr. Electrics of the world, as opposed to Phil's Plumbing or Phil's Electric, small mom and pop shop. Right? They'll take on anyone, as Jamie alluded to, as so long as they believe in advertising. But yeah, BuzzBoard does have it certainly does have its share of enterprise accounts inside of its database.
So, and if you're like a decision maker too, for franchise, sometimes that's difficult to identify. So that's what the concierge side of it. If it's not necessarily in here, then I just reach out to the support group and then ask them if they can find a contact. I'm trying to think of disadvantages with franchises. There's advantages. You have 558 locations, and they're probably, they have areas and territories that they have to kind of stay within also.
And Philip, I think it's marked in there. It's been a while since I've looked at a franchise, but I think when you start to pull records, it very clearly says this is like a satellite location or headquarters. That's it. The corporate.
Well, I guess every franchise operates slightly differently, but I always understood that. Yes, you have to do marketing, but I thought it was more in terms of using corporate marketing, or corporate does the marketing. You have to pay your portion to get it distributed or aired in your space, your territory.
You mean from franchise or?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like for instance, I mean, to stay extreme, but let's say McDonald's, for instance, you've got your corporate locations and you've got your franchises. Um, I don't know if a local independent franchise for McDonald's does its own advertising, and they just
They're
tag
only
along
corporate.
with the corporate. They just pay a portion of the revenue.
Well, I have personal knowledge into this because they were my client at one point. And so, yeah, Paul, they usually go off of a co-op.
Yeah.
And some of the regional owner operators is what they're called at McDonald's. They pull their resources in as a collective sometimes, and
Mhm.
McDonald's absolutely encourages that too. At least that's how it was 10 years ago when I was in that game. It may have changed, so a little disclaimer there. But yeah, I do know that at the local level, yes, they definitely have money to spend for sponsorships, for spots and dots like broadcast, absolutely on the digital side. And they'll work regionally with regional marketing people as well to really game plan and localize as much as they can. And I think that is the key word. The bigger the business, the harder it is for them to be local. And that's
Mm.
where you come in to help them be local, to have a footprint in the marketplace, because consumers, as we all know, shop a certain way, and we have trust factor. We have trust
That's right.
issues with big companies sometimes, but I'd rather go down the street to Phil's Hardware as opposed to a big box store where I'm just a number. So it's all relative, but yeah.
So that's a great question. I think maybe I understand Paul a little bit more too. So
Mhm.
BuzzBoard sweet spot. Well, I don't think, I guess I'd love to see where the sky's the limit, but if I'm Paul and I need the bigger ones, like Winmo's one, that is
Yeah.
a service, but it won't even bother with anything below $800,000 or some kind of, so I
Mhm.
think if that's what you're but man, I wish buy both if that's what you need. So
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like buy both if you
yeah.
can.
Well, I have a follow-up email into a client to find out what their status is on something, but they were supposed to be doing an RFP. And the company is a North American division of a global consumer brand network. That is global network that is consumer brand owned. So that while North America operates independently as its own business unit, being part of a global brand, they have, I don't know, 20, 30,000 employees. But the division that I'm talking to, hopefully, is up to 200, according to LinkedIn. It's like 50 to 200 employees. So that'd be ideal. So long as it doesn't, I mean, hypothetically, that it's not pulling in results from the rest of the world.
Mhm.
You can control the territory. I haven't tried going globally. Like, what do you want to do today, Pinky? Let's take over the world. I kind of like that it lets me to rein it in. I've never tried going like United States. That would be a pretty big, that'd be a big data pull. Might take more than 90 seconds, Phil.
And Jamie, you had alluded to in the chat about RFPs, searching for businesses that have that have RFPs out there, right? That
I
want
blame Paul for that question.
I'll
Well,
take it, because along with that would be, what about those looking for
what would the data source for that be?
say
I feel
again?
like-
What would the data source for that be? Is there one?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, if there's an
like
existing database that tracks that, that's something we could pull in through API.
Exactly.
Dodge
That
construction.
was the
Gotcha.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely the point that I was getting to here, because when we're obviously prospecting for anything, and the insights that we share or signals that we share comes from a data place, a data point that we plug into. And so I always bring up that contact information. There's not one central database for contacts, and the movement of personnel amongst millions of businesses in the United States in various industries just doesn't exist. So we triangulate and do the best what we can using other data sources and our proprietary information as well. But that's the huge rule of thumb is, yes, if we want information, if it's extremely vital, then tell us, where do we plug it in? And our people, our integrations people are outstanding at trying to find a way.
I would agree with that.
I don't know if you do this, but is there a way, and this isn't a requirement by any means, but it would kind of be a nice to have, just a little section that says whether or not they have, whether they're either looking to hire someone in the marketing department at whatever title, or whether they've just lost
Title.
someone.
That's a beautiful question.
Yeah. So currently we have recruitment. Are you hiring? And then how many positions? But to have something, and it's something to look into, because we can maybe pull keywords off of some of these data sources as far as sales, marketing, or just types of positions available. So currently, for the search that I'm pulling, and I'll get rid of category here to see if that gives me something else. I've got, well, this was single business locations though.
And it might still be not B2B though. You could see what it pulls for B2B instead of B2C.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like a backseat driver now.
No, that's okay.
No, that's great. That's great. Engagement with the product. We love it.
But I think what we're doing here is what anybody wanting to use BuzzBoard should do. Play with the platform. There's not one right way of using this platform. That's for sure. I mean, I think the way I have it sorted out here, let me just go back into Firm. Yeah, this is just single business locations. And I pulled up 14 of them that are hiring. And this is all categories. So,
interesting.
And firmographics 1,000 plus. So, and that's 50 square miles of Detroit. So yeah, I mean, there's not one right way. I think that's the big takeaway when we want to prospect, or if we have ideas, or we want to identify our ideal customer profile. There's not one right way of filtering a search or using the platform for that matter. It is your way. And I think with consistency and just playing around, navigating, finding it out, asking questions. And that's why we have these calls, of course. It's why we've got our Q&As, and the support that we do provide at BuzzBoard is incredibly important for us, because, we're really graded on that support. And Jamie, you did allude to the fact that it's the same team. Every company you've been to, your teams have changed.
Yep.
Yeah, we want to be as consistent here at BuzzBoard as possible as well. So that's for everybody who's interested in maybe using this platform, is to just, get in there, try it. And David, that's why we offer a free trial, right?
That's it. You can get the free trial directly on the website, www.buzzboard.ai. Up in the top right-hand corner, the green free trial button. We don't ask for a credit card up front. We don't do that to you. We don't automatically charge your credit card after 7 days or something. 2-week free trial. And once you sign up for the free trial, you'll get into the great customer support team that Jamie's been talking about to help you get started and get you onboarded. So with that, we're going close to an hour now. If you have any other further questions, what I'd encourage you is you can reach out to me directly on my email, david@buzzboard.com, or reach out to us through the website, www.buzzboard.ai. I want to thank Jamie for investing an hour with us here today. And Jamie, I want to offer you, as our guest and longtime fan of BuzzBoard, I want to offer you the final words. Anything you'd like to close out for our audience?
I'm your biggest fan, you guys. I know it sounds a little corny, like, oh, no, you look prettier. No, you look.
No, we love you more.
I love, when with the trial, because it's a very overwhelming tool, and it can be very grandiose if you want it to be. So having the support during the trial is kind of like, show me, tell me how this is going to be applicable for what I'm doing right now. And they do. And then they'll show you how to pull the first few prospect lists, or the, how to use the tool and engage with it. And without it, like, the trial just doesn't seem as, powerful. But I have worked for 4 conglomerates, and every time my first line of expense is to go to BuzzBoard, and even I have to go to the IT sometimes to make sure they have the extension. But it really helps me I'm working for an independent agency, not a global digital sales company like I typically would be. And so now it's like I can be my own mini agency within BuzzBoard, even not having the sales team, right? Because the presentation materials are there, which I kind of forgot about until we took this call today. But that I can appreciate. For me as mini working with almost an independent ad agency, the presentation materials, the AI, and the sales support that I might need in order to create the presentation for my clients is there. But this team is very consistent. They listen and they apply. And yeah, I can definitely attest to them. When they asked me to do it today, speak, I was like, sure. I feel like I owe you guys just as much time. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Jamie. We appreciate you just as we appreciate all BuzzBoard users. We eternally grateful for sharing your experience. So happy that you are delighted in the product, and we love that so many of our users have the same sentiment. So thank you, Paul, for your questions. I see your chat there. You're very welcome. So we'll wrap it there. We'll get a recording. Watch your email. We'll get a recording out to you. And again, hit the website www.buzzboard.ai if you want a trial, or if you want to contact us for something else. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.